My new album, it's been a labour of love, and some of these songs have been in my life for years, but I've never had the outlet to actually get them out there, to have them heard, and the possibility of getting them played on radio, that is quite exciting. So this is a new feeling for me. It's really nice to finally think, right, that's it. Let it go. Having been on the session scene for many years myself, I've had the privilege of playing with some great musicians, and some of them of course have become really good friends, so I was able to call on some favours. I mean, the obvious one is Andy Hamilton, but then he co-wrote the songs with me, so he's going to play on it. I mean, he's saxophonist extraordinaire. He played all the saxes on the album, and he played keys, but he's got a huge career behind him. He worked with Duran Duran back in the day. I mean, the saxophone solo on Rio is Andy Hamilton. That's what you hear. He did all the Wham stuff in the early days, and then he went on to play for George Michael. And he also appeared in David Bowie's Wild as the Wind video. I mean, it's so annoying, such a show-off. But I've also got Matt Backer on guitars, who I also met on ABC. And I've got Richard Barrett on guitars, and he's from Tony Hadley's band. I also played with him. But I've got Vincenz Benjamin, who's a beautiful bass player. I've done loads of work with him on the Rewind shows, the 80s umbrella shows that I do. I've got Brad Lang on bass. I've got a chap on drums called Eirik Andre Rindingen. I can never say his surname. He's Norwegian, so you have to forgive me. He's a lovely drummer. And of course, I've got Nick Kershaw is playing on a couple of the tracks, because obviously we co-wrote some stuff, and that was a real joy, because he's a beautiful guitarist. And he lends his vocals as well, which is quite sweet of him, bless him. And I've also got Max Middleton on Fender Rhodes, which was a joy. Anyone who knows Max Middleton, the name, would know that he played in Jeff Beck's band, and he also played for Kate Bush. And he played Fender Rhodes on Babushka, for God's sakes. It was like, oh! Oh, and I've also got Bobby Hughes on saxophones, he also from ABC and the Rewind shows. I've known him for many years. He's a sublime saxophonist. He did a beautiful horn section arrangement for me for one of the songs, one of the co-writes with Nick Kershaw, in fact. Heroin was just, it started a play on words, really. It wasn't about any personal experience, it was just me playing with words. And everybody wants to be somebody's hero or heroine, don't they? I mean, it's just one of those things. I play both characters in the video. Obviously, I'm the person singing, and who then becomes like the top hat. And then, of course, I play the guy in the beard. So I really enjoyed having fun with that.
You could be my cowboy junkie. I could be a crazy horse. I caress you like a snowstorm, like tears without remorse. Let me be your fix. Let me be your way out. Let me be the light that fights your darker side. Let me be your heroine. Always wanted to be a superwoman. Let me be your heroine. Always wanted to be a superwoman. Superwoman. Let me be your heroine.
A lot of these tracks, as I'm looking at them, a lot of these tracks are your classic breakup songs. And they're not all necessarily my experience. Some of them are, without a doubt, but you know, as a writer, you kind of take some of your own experiences, and you're quite often, you know, witness to somebody else's turmoil. So you tend to weave it into your material. You Can't Stop the River was the first song that I wrote with Nick Kershaw when I finally plucked up the courage to ask him to write with me. I couldn't believe he said yes. I was like, well, that was easy. Because I'd known Nick for years. He used to come and see me play at his local wine bar. We lived locally. And then he asked me to sing backing vocals on one of his albums. And then I got to work with him in the live arena when I became the house percussionist and backing vocalist in the Rewind band, and he was on the bill. And we were just sat backstage chatting. I said, would you fancy writing? He was like, yeah. I was like, really? Yeah. So it was like, oh my God, Nick Kershaw. has agreed to write with me. I was really nervous because, as I said earlier, it's Nick Kershaw, for Christ's sakes. He brings so much to the table, and I was like, what am I going to do here? When you turn up with just a handful of sketchy ideas. But he came very quickly and very easily. You Can't Stop the River. It was, I think it started, I can't actually remember who initiated it, but we ended up with this great tune, and it was a joy to sing, and obviously he sings on it as well, which is really nice to have his voice there.
Another year has gone. It's not easy, but you carry on. Remember how it feels to keep the road under your wheels. You think you can leave it behind you. You should know better than that. Oh, you can't stop the river, and you can't take anymore, and you can't keep the warmth from your door. You're trying to run too far, but remember, this is who you are, and all the things that you adore. You can't touch them anymore. You think that nobody will find you, but you should know better than that. Oh, you can't stop the river, and you can't take anymore, and you can't keep the warmth from your door.
Little Spark, that's unrequited love, that one. When you really fancy somebody, or you've got a thing for somebody, but you know that you can't tell them because it's going to spoil the friendship because you've probably known them too long. The Girl You Love, that's a betrayal, song of betrayal. Your Time Is Now. Now that's an interesting one because that is about getting older, and as a woman in this industry, getting older, it kind of isn't allowed. People don't like it, and I wrote that song, the lyrics to that song, many, many moons ago, after a guy, a very close personal friend, much older than me, said to me, you better get on with it, gal, you're not getting any younger. And I was like, I was probably in my late 20s at the time when that was said, and it really bit. And I was like, I'm not having that. So Your Time Is Now is actually all about that. I called the album Sink or Swim because that song, Your Time Is Now, there's a line in there where I sing, the clock is saying, baby, sink or swim. So I took the line from that. I've been really lucky. I've had a really varied session career. I've worked with all sorts of people, and some are just utterly bonkers because they're such great characters. So someone like Belinda Carlisle is, she's a sweetheart. She's very naughty on stage. She turns to us as on stage with the band and has little private jokes in between songs and stuff, and always makes me chuckle. She's great fun. Tony Hadley's just fantastic because he's so secure in who he is as an artist and as a performer. He's got that voice, hasn't he? He's like it's a hurricane when he steps up to sing. But because he's so secure in himself, he takes great pleasure in sharing that with his band and letting the individual members of his band shine. He allows me to do my gospel diva bit, and he enjoys it. He doesn't feel threatened by it. Brand New Heavies are just out and out bonkers. You never know what's coming next with them. It's really, really good fun. They just call things on the fly. It's never what was rehearsed. If you rehearse, it's never the same twice. And yeah, that's just enormous fun, and it keeps you on your toes. Oh, Faithless. What can I say about Faithless? It's just, that's a monster, isn't it? Anthemic songs, and again, that's being 70,000 people just losing their minds as soon as those signature synth parts are played on Insomnia and stuff like that. The whole crowd moves, it's like a lung. 70,000 people just whoosh. That's absolutely fantastic. I love that. Boy George was interesting. I've done a couple of things with him because we ended up on a support tour with Culture Club as well when I was with ABC. So we had a lot of fun on the road with the musicians in the band as well as with George. He's got a sharp tongue, that boy. But he's good fun. Nick Kershaw, I mean, he's just great because the songs are so great. They play themselves and they're a joy to play. Just, and it's riddled with little musical motifs. And when you're part of his band and you get to sing those motifs, it's oh God, here it comes, here it comes. Holly Johnson's great fun. And again, I mean, getting to play those anthemic Frankie Goes to Hollywood songs, just spellbinding. I Like You Better When You're Gone. That was the second tune we wrote together, and that's the nasty breakup song. Well, one of many actually, but it's my most recent nasty breakup song. I'm very proud of. Again, we were writing that, and actually we wrote this. We wrote this on the day that Prince died, which is like, oh my God. We were in the studio, and we put it all together, and he said, oh, it'd be really nice to have a horn section on this, wouldn't it? I was like, yeah, it would. And he said, who would you use? And I immediately thought, Bobby Hughes, because I've done so much stuff with him. So we sent him the track, and he immediately messaged me back and said, what kind of vibe are you looking for on this? And I just said to him, think Prince, Boys and Girls, that kind of, staccato horn section. And bless him, he did it. Within 24 hours it was done. He sent it back and we were over the moon with it. And as I was driving back from the studio that very day, as I was driving back home, that was what came on the radio. Prince has died. I was like, oh my God, that's just awful. So it was a double-edged sword, really, that song.
Looking in from the outside, everything is fine. But here on the inside, you're heavy on my mind. What is this love we're making? Why does it feel so bad? You're doing all the taking while I'm giving all I have. Somebody is just not enough. Remember, there are two of us. There's got to be a better way. No, it's not enough. There's only just enough for one of us. Love has turned to dust. I can't afford to let you stay. I like you better when you're gone. You look good from a distance, but if I'd only known, I'd have kept my distance and left you on your throne.
As a writer, I try to write about the human condition. A lot of these songs are breakup songs. The themes are quite universal. So I have to hope that they touch enough hearts when people listen to it and go, oh God, yes, it's exactly how that made me feel, but I couldn't put it into words. So I hope to be able to touch a few hearts in that respect. And hopefully people will buy it as well. It'd be nice, wouldn't it?